Right, this week I ran out of this stuff, Beeswax, and it's a beeswax mixed with a solvent, and I had to go and buy some more and realised that this stuff's gone up in price a fair bit since the last time I bought one of these, and so I wondered if I could get the raw ingredients and make my own a lot cheaper. So I bought a kilo of beeswax pellets for the same cost as 400 grams of this. So as long as we don't use like the same cost again in solvents, then we'll be coming in under budget. This stuff melts in or is soluble in organic solvents, so any oil-based solvents. So cooking oils, for example, is doable, but I have some xylene thinners that I use for thinning paint. And the Beeswax stuff is thinned down with toluene, and they're, I'm going to say similar. They're kind of similar, sort of. So we're going to do an experiment and see how that works and how it performs. So we've got a little bain-marie here. It's an old bread tin that's scratched, so everything sticks to it. But it is the ideal thing for a bit of water. Over a tiny burner. When we add the toluene, we're going to make sure we've got the fire off, because toluene is extremely flammable. But the wax doesn't need masses of temperature to melt. So we're going to make a small batch in this little aluminium boat that I made. And then we're going to add some toluene and see what the product comes out like and how much toluene we need to add. Because if we need to add a gallon of it, then it's going to be way too prohibitively expensive. And I've had better luck with white spirit before. But we're going to try like just a little handful and see how that goes. And see how much of it I can spread around the cooker. Okay, so I'm going to add some of this, which is just plain beeswax in liquid, and we're going to stick it on the wood and see how it finishes the wood off. Stays liquid enough to that point, but I suspect it's just going to go hard on the surface rather than actually help finish the wood. This is set on here, but I don't think it's actually like finished the wood. It's just a bit thick, and it doesn't. You can't put it onto a cloth to apply it. It's just kind of scraping off the surface. So we'll add some thinners and then we'll see how that changes things. Okay, so we're just going to add a tiniest amount we can and see how that affects the batch. And we're going to apply it a little bit. Cool, that's looking loads thinner and it hasn't set this time. Oh yeah. Well, that looks loads better. Maybe I'll give them all a rub with a cloth in a minute. Alright, and then let's do a little bit more xylene while it's all still a bit liquidy. And we'll call this lots. And so this is like a really thin mix. I'm not entirely sure this will actually solidify once it cools. But we'll wipe that on like that. Right, we'll give those a minute to cool and then we'll give it a rub and see how they look. Okay. Cool, so we're going to give them all a little rub with the tissue to get rid of the excess. And the clean bit. Okay, let's rip the tissue apart. And the last one, the plain beeswax. Doesn't really move at all, it's just kind of set on there. Okay, so the beeswax just sets on it and sits on the surface. The plain one has left a bit of finish on it, but it's still a bit close to this. The medium one's blended into the wood and left an even-ish finish on there. And then the one with lots of xylene in, there's barely any wax on there at all. So I think we're going to aim for the consistency of the medium one for our big batch. Right. Okay, so the wax is all melted now. A big hot thing. And what we're going to do is we're going to add the xylene into it next. And I put a mark on the bottle to see how much to use, to see how many batches I could get out of it. So the next thing to do is I'm going to put a mask on. It's going to make a wee bit of noise, but if it splashes, I don't get sprayed in the face with chemicals. And we're going to make sure that this is off, and that way there won't be any burning. And hopefully you can hear me still a wee bit. Right, so gas off. Going to leave it in the bain-marie to keep it warm, and then we're going to pour, probably going to pour 1 finger's width in. So yeah, a wee bit more. There we go. Give this a stir. And then we're aiming for it to act like this did in its molten state, so we can tell that we've got the right amount in it. So, my paintbrush is not hot enough. We'll just wait for the paintbrush to get hot enough so it's actually acts like it should. Yeah, so it's definitely not going on as thinly as this did, but it's not leaving, it's going on like a wee bit thicker than what this, so it's somewhere in between these two at the minute, so we need to add a wee bit more xylene. Oh, it's really hot in there. That's better. So now we need, so you can see, can you? Oh, I don't know if you can. Oh, it's really bright in here today. You can see how thick it is here, and it's got thinner, and it's left this really nice kind of polishable surface here. So we'll go with that. Now we just got to wait for the whole thing to cool. Alright, all done. So we're going to put the lid on, and then we're going to let it cool. Okay, so it's the next day, and it's all cooled, more or less. You can see where it hadn't cooled, and I decided to test it. So I need to add a wee bit more xylene to this because it's needing a hot air gun to make it work. But it's still a lot softer than it was. But I'll do that off camera. So apart from not having enough xylene in this, it's worked out pretty well. And a wee bit of heat just helped it finish off anyway. However, this may have been the wrong thing to use. Anyway, I weighed this and measured this before I put it in, and I've only used 1/4 of each. So that means for a bottle of this and a bag of this, I get 4 tubs of this, or near enough full tubs. and that is 20. These two come to 20 quid, 20 pounds, and these are like 15 quid to buy. So for 20 quid, you're getting 60 pounds worth of finish. And the only thing I would change is probably putting a bit more xylene in this, just a wee bit more, because it's a bit cooler today, and it'd be nice if it flowed a bit better. And when doing it, I probably won't do it in the bain-marie again because it was really slow and safe. And as long as the flame's off when you add this, it's fine. But to get the wax to melt initially, it took ages for it to all melt. So, or maybe use the hot air gun, because the hot air gun's quite quick at melting it from the top. So, but if you like random tips like this and you want to see more, then please remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next week. Bye.